Back in 2014, I was reaching the age where kids were considered too old to trick-or-treat. It was also the age my parents allowed me to stay home alone and hand out candy while I went to my dad's boss's Halloween party. For the most part, the night was uneventful. I'd hand candy out to kids and spend whatever idle time I had watching ghost adventures on the TV. That's when I got the idea to call up my friend Corey and invite him to come with me to this old abandoned grain silo in the woods. Corey was reluctant at first, but finally gave in when I told him a couple other kids from our class were coming. We set out at around 9 with a few flashlights and started looking for the dirt path that led to the silo. Once we found it, we made our way down until we saw the silo's hulking silhouette reaching towards the night sky. Corey at this point had figured out I was lying and started calling me out on my bluff. But just when I was about to retort, we heard a loud thud come from inside the silo. Corey started freaking out and quickly shined his flashlight over by the silo wall where we heard it, but there was nothing there. Breathing a sigh of relief, I told him it was probably just an animal and to stop being such a baby. Not gonna lie, it scared me too, but being that we were in a developing suburb surrounded by nothing but farmland for miles, I never expected to encounter what we saw next. Not wanting to look scared, I made my way over to the silo where the sounds had come from. I looked around and saw that there was an opening where it looked like the siding had crumpled away. I got down on my hands and knees and peered my flashlight inside, and what I saw, I will never forget for the rest of my life. Inside was a tall, disheveled-looking man with a scraggly beard staring right back at me. The man charged, screaming at me to get out. I immediately booked it, Corey following soon after as he saw the man. We both ran. He kept pace right behind us. We could hear him screaming and snarling at us like he had rabies or something. We finally made it to the road and kept running. We ran about halfway and then we finally stopped to catch our breath. We couldn't hear the footsteps anymore, nor could we hear the man screaming at us. We thought maybe he turned around as soon as we hit the main road. However, that didn't stop us from running the rest of the way back home. As soon as we got to my house, we both agreed we weren't going to tell our parents about this, for fear of getting our new home alone privileges taken away. Although, looking back on it now, I kind of wish we had. A few weeks later, I walked into the kitchen to see that the news was on. There was the man. Apparently he had been arrested after a confrontation with a police officer after he was caught rummaging through some dumpsters behind a grocery store. When they searched him, they found an assortment of drugs and a large hunting knife. I wonder about that night, wondering what would have happened if he had ended up catching us, and what he would have done if he did.
Back when I was 6 years old, I lived in a small trailer park in Florida. While it wasn't exactly a blue-collar neighborhood, it was nicer and somewhat safer than what comes to mind when you think of the stereotypes of a Florida trailer park. This is why my parents thought it would be safe for me to go trick-or-treating with my older sister. I'll call her Jenny for the sake of the story. Now, Jenny, like any teenager, didn't exactly like having to chaperone her little sister when she could be hanging out with her friends. So the minute we walked out of the trailer, Jenny had already made plans to ditch me. She told me she'd give me $5 if I told Mom she watched me the whole night. Being naive, I agreed, and she drove off with her friends. To a 6-year-old kid, it was great. No parents or sister to tell me where I couldn't go or do. I ended up with a whole sack of candy. But as the night went on, I saw a lot of kids were starting to head in, and pretty soon it was just me, all alone. I started heading back to my trailer when I heard a car pulling up behind me. It was an old beat-up truck that I've never seen before. The driver slowed down and rolled his window. My memory is a little faulty, but what I do remember is he had long, stringy hair and had a few teeth in his mouth. He looked at me and said, "Hey, little girl, that's a pretty costume you have on." I nervously said thank you, not making eye contact, and started walking a little faster. He started asking me things like where my parents were and where I lived. I didn't answer him this time, not because I was scared of him, but afraid that if I did, my mom would get angry and talk to a stranger. This agitated the man, and he started to get more pushy. You know, it's not nice to ignore someone when they're talking to you, he said. I just kept on walking, looking for a way to get away from the man and his truck. Without warning, the man stopped his car and started getting out, yelling at me to get over here. I ran quickly, making my way between two trailers. The man followed. I started screaming for help, hoping someone would come out. A few trailers ahead of me, I saw a door open, and one of my neighbors came out to see what was going on. I ran as fast as my little legs could take me, but about halfway, I felt the man grab my bag of candy. I let go just as he tried to grab my arm. My neighbor yelled and ran at the man. The man let go, sprinted back to his car, where he sped off out of the park. My neighbor picked me up and took me inside his home. He then called the police and my mom to come pick me up. She rushed over and I told her everything through the tears in my eyes. We talked to the police and my mom took me home, where she chewed out my sister for doing something so stupid and selfish. She got grounded for close to a year for that. As for me, I'm about 24 years old now, and I still get nervous around Halloween. I always watch out for kids and keep an eye out for any suspicious activity. Please stay safe out there, everyone. Thank you.